Today, we are diving headfirst into the mesmerizing world of Tezhip. It's an ancient art of, well, what looks like impossible intricacy and just perfect harmony. Just take a close look at this. It feels alive, right? It's organic, it's flowing with this incredible creative energy. But what if I told you that underneath all that beauty, there's a hidden language, a language of pure mathematics? And that, right there, is the big question we're tackling today. Is this pure art, or is it a flawless algorithm, just executed by hand? Okay, so first things first, let's get our terms straight. The word tezhip, it literally means to gild or to decorate with gold. At its core, it's the art of illuminating manuscripts. But, and this is a big but, there's a really specific rule. Absolutely no figures. So all the beauty you see, it comes entirely from geometry and these amazing stylized floral patterns, all brought to life with, you guessed it, gold and vibrant color. All right, let's kick things off by looking at Tezhip as this perfect golden puzzle, because it really does present this fascinating contradiction that we are going to unravel together. And here it is, the paradox at its heart. On one hand, you've got what looks like boundless artistic expression, but on the other, you have this system of mathematical rules so rigid, so unbreakably rigid that if you're off by a single millimeter, the entire piece can be thrown off. It's exactly that tension, between creative freedom and mathematical precision that makes Tezhip so unique. So the question is, how do artists actually resolve this paradox? How do they create such breathtaking work when they're working within these super strict confines? Well, believe it or not, the answer starts with the simplest shape you can possibly imagine. Let's uncover the secret of the circle. Get ready for this, because it's a pretty staggering fact. A full 80%, 80% of all traditional Tezhip designs, no matter how ridiculously complex they look, start from a single, simple circle drawn with a compass. That's it. This one shape is the master key that unlocks the entire art form. And you have to understand, this first circle isn't just some starting point. No, it's the entire project plan all rolled into one. It's got three absolutely critical jobs to do. First, it sets the boundary, the whole universe of the design. Second, it finds the dead center, the anchor point for all the symmetry. And third, it establishes the fundamental ratio that's going to govern the size and placement of every single leaf, every single petal that comes after. Okay, so we've got our master plan, the circle. But how in the world does that one simple shape turn into something so incredibly beautiful? Well, this is where the artists start building, and they do it with rules. The big secret here, it's division. The artist takes that one main circle, and using just a protractor and a compass, they divide it up into perfectly equal segments. This could be 4 parts, which would create a square-based design, or maybe 6 for a hexagon. But most of the time, for those classic, really intricate Tezhip patterns, they'll use 8 or even 12 parts. What this process does is create this invisible blueprint. It's like a skeleton of axes, angles, and lines that's holding up the entire artwork. And get this, before even one flower is drawn, this perfect mathematical grid gets laid down in super light pencil. And this is the magic moment. This is where the art really starts to emerge. The artist takes these traditional motifs, like these stylized flowers called hatayi, or the 5-lobed leaves known as penshi, and they place them precisely on that grid. Their size, their angle, their position, none of it is random. It is all dictated by that mathematical blueprint underneath. So for example, a petal's length might be exactly 1/3 of the circle's radius. It's that precise. This all leads to a really powerful idea in Tezhip, and it's summed up perfectly by this old saying, az chiz çok desen oluştur. And that basically means draw a little, create a lot of pattern. Think about it. Because of the grid's perfect symmetry, an artist only needs to actually draw one small section. The rest, it's just a perfect mirror image, repeating and reflecting all the way around that central point. So, okay, we've got the theory down, right? The mathematical skeleton. But how does that pencil grid transform into a radiant, golden masterpiece? Let's walk through the actual creation process, step by step. The whole thing follows 5 really meticulous stages. It all starts with that pencil drawing, the blueprint, which you could say is about 70% math and 30% art. Then comes tahrir, which is where the outlines are so carefully inked in with a very fine brush. After that, the gilding, which is really the heart and soul of Tezhip. Then, the motifs get filled in with these classic colors, and you better believe they're making sure not to cross the lines and mess up those perfect ratios. And finally, the artist does one last balance check just to make sure every single element is in absolute perfect harmony. Let's talk a bit more about the gold because it's so crucial. It's not just there for decoration. Its placement is also mathematical. Gold is always used at the absolute center and at these really key points of symmetry. It's basically acting as a visual guide, drawing your eye straight to the design's core structure and just reinforcing that perfect balance that was set up by that very first circle. And all of this brings us to our final section, where we can really truly appreciate that in Tezhip, mathematics isn't the opposite of art, not at all. It is the language that art uses to create harmony. So when you boil it all down, what we see as beauty in these pieces is really the result of perfect math. It's the symmetry that creates that incredible feeling of balance. It's the center that gives our eyes a powerful anchor. The ratios make sure that every single element feels like it just belongs. And repetition, that's what allows this mind-blowing complexity to emerge from some very simple, very elegant rules. And this leaves us with one last thought to chew on. We've just seen how Tezhip uses a really simple code, just dividing a circle, to generate what feels like infinite beauty. It kind of makes you wonder, doesn't it? Where else in our world are these elegant algorithms hiding in plain sight? From the delicate structure of a single snowflake to the massive spiral of a galaxy, maybe, just maybe, the universe itself is the ultimate work of Tezhip.